This is the team nobody is talking about loudly enough. As the 2026 Winter Olympics approach in Milan, the spotlight has locked itself onto Canada and the United States. Headlines revolve around generational talent and historic rivalries. But while the conversation stays loud, Team Sweden is building something far more dangerous: structure, stability, and a roster built specifically for tournament hockey. Sweden is not entering Milan as a feel-good contender. It is entering as a legitimate threat. The problem is perception. Without a singular best player in the world label attached to the roster, Sweden is often placed a tier below the North American powers. That framing ignores how Olympic tournaments are actually won. Short tournaments reward discipline. They reward defensive structure. They reward goaltending that does not collapse under pressure. Sweden has all three. Start with the crease. In Olympic hockey, goaltending can erase talent gaps. Sweden enters 2026 with one of the most stable goaltending pools in the tournament. Swedish NHL goaltenders have consistently posted strong regular season metrics over recent years. Save percentage stability and playoff exposure matter more than highlight moments. Sweden does not enter Milan with a public debate about who starts. There is clarity. That clarity is an advantage. Compare that to other contenders facing ongoing questions about deployment hierarchy or recent performance volatility. Sweden's situation is straightforward. Pick the starter. Stick with him. Limit mistakes in front. That model has historically traveled well in international play. Now move to the blue line. Sweden's defensive identity has never relied on chaos. It is built on layered structure. Victor Hedman provides veteran leadership and international experience. Rasmus Dahlin offers high-end puck movement and offensive activation from the back end. Erik Karlsson brings transition intelligence and offensive awareness. Depth beyond those names reinforces balance rather than flash. International ice surfaces emphasize positioning and gap control. Sweden's defense is built to manage space. They close lanes instead of chasing hits. They control the neutral zone rather than trading rush chances. That matters in elimination games where one breakdown can decide a medal. Sweden does not need to dominate possession to win. It needs to control risk. That philosophy extends up front. Critics often point to the absence of a singular generational headliner on Sweden's roster. But Olympic tournaments are not won by one player carrying a lineup for 3 weeks. They are won by depth that does not disappear when matchups tighten. William Nylander brings scoring touch and playoff experience. Elias Pettersson provides two-way center depth. Mika Zibanejad adds size and special teams utility. Filip Forsberg contributes finishing ability and net front scoring. Lucas Raymond represents the next wave of offensive production. That is not a shallow forward group. That is 4 lines capable of generating offense without sacrificing defensive responsibility. Sweden's strength lies in balance. No single line carries the burden of survival. That spreads defensive attention across multiple threats. In tournaments where opponents prepare extensively for top-heavy rosters, balanced scoring becomes difficult to neutralize. The Olympic format amplifies that advantage. Group stage games determine seeding. Elimination rounds compress tension. Special teams swing momentum quickly. Sweden's discipline historically limits unnecessary penalties. Fewer penalties mean fewer opportunities for opponents to exploit power plays. Discipline also preserves energy. International officiating standards differ from NHL regular season play. Teams that adapt quickly gain leverage. Sweden's system-driven approach reduces adjustment time. There is also the psychological component. Canada and the United States enter Milan with gold or failure expectations. Media pressure follows every shift. Sweden operates in the margins of that noise. Lower headline volume reduces distraction. Focus stays internal. Underrated teams in short tournaments can play freer hockey. That freedom matters in single elimination settings. History reinforces the argument. Sweden won Olympic gold in 2006. They captured silver in 2014. They consistently contend in IIHF competitions. This is not a federation unfamiliar with medal rounds. The infrastructure exists. The culture exists. The expectation inside the locker room is not secondary. The absence of constant media hype does not reflect a lack of capability. Another overlooked element is age distribution. Sweden's core blends experienced veterans with players in their athletic prime. That mixture matters in compressed tournaments. Veterans manage tempo. Prime-age players handle physical load. Younger contributors inject speed. It is not a roster dependent on one age group, it is layered. Tournament hockey often collapses into 2-1 or 3-2 games. High-event chaos benefits teams with explosive superstar ceilings. Controlled, low-event environments benefit structured rosters with reliable goaltending. Sweden thrives in low-event hockey. Defensive layers restrict high-danger chances. Neutral zone discipline reduces odd-man rushes. Forwards backcheck into support positions instead of cheating for offense. That approach can frustrate top-heavy opponents accustomed to open ice. If Canada and the United States collide before the gold medal game, the bracket shifts. Sweden could navigate into a final without absorbing that early collision. Tournament seeding matters. Sweden's ability to win disciplined group stage games increases bracket flexibility. That path is realistic. There is also the matter of adjustment. Teams built around superstar improvisation can struggle when forced into structured, tactical games. Sweden plays tactical hockey by default. There is no philosophical adjustment required when stakes increase. Their regular approach already mirrors elimination intensity. They do not need to reinvent themselves in medal rounds. Go back to the narrative problem. The conversation frames Sweden as a strong team, but not the team. That distinction is subtle yet significant. It shapes betting odds. It shapes media coverage. It shapes opponent preparation emphasis. But structure is not loud. Structure does not trend on highlight reels. Structure wins tight games. Sweden's defensive core can match pace with North American speed. Their goaltending can stabilize momentum swings. Their forward depth can capitalize on limited scoring chances. That formula does not guarantee gold. It guarantees competitiveness in every matchup. In Olympic hockey, that is often enough. The 2026 Winter Olympics will not be decided by reputation. They will be decided by which team minimizes risk, adapts fastest, and maintains composure in elimination rounds. Sweden checks those boxes. They are not entering Milan as spectators in the Canada to USA rivalry. They are entering as a team built to disrupt it. And once the puck drops, structure has a way of exposing assumptions.
Canada's leadership group is obviously Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Cale Makar. Between the three of them, 7 Art Ross trophies, 5 Hart trophies, 7 Ted Lindsays, 3 Maurice Richards, 4 Conn Smythes, 1 Calder, 2 Norrises, and 4 Stanley Cups.
This is Team Canada.
The wait is over.
It's been a really long time. We need to get best on best back at those big games where it's country against country and it becomes more than hockey.
Opening night of the Four Nations face-off.
And heading into the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, no nation enters the tournament with more structure, continuity, and proven success. NHL players have returned after 12 years away. Canada arrives fresh off an international title with leadership locked in and a roster already tested. For the rest of the field, this creates a problem that begins before the first puck drop. This Winter Olympics marks a turning point for men's ice hockey. For the first time since 2014, the National Hockey League paused its season to allow full player participation. According to NHL and Olympic officials, 148 NHL players are competing in the men's tournament, with more than 120 making their Olympic debut. No country benefits more from this return than Canada. Canada enters the tournament following its victory at the Four Nations face-off. In the final, Canada defeated the United States 3-2 in overtime. What began as a short international event became the defining reference point for Olympic selection. The Olympic roster, leadership group, and deployment strategy were all shaped directly by that tournament. Continuity defines Canada's approach. The coaching staff traveling to Italy is unchanged. John Cooper returns as head coach. His assistant coaches are current NHL head coaches and longtime Hockey Canada staff. The management group remains largely intact, with Doug Armstrong serving as the primary decision-maker in roster selection while consulting other NHL general managers. This structure removes uncertainty. Canada did not enter the Olympic cycle searching for answers. It arrived with a recent international blueprint that had already produced results. Leadership is centralized and established. Hockey Canada confirmed Sidney Crosby as team captain. Connor McDavid and Cale Makar were named alternate captains. This leadership group was finalized before Canada's first on-ice practice in Milan. The same trio held those roles during the Four Nations tournament. Between Crosby, McDavid, and Makar, the leadership group accounts for 7 Art Ross trophies, 5 Hart trophies, 7 Ted Lindsay awards, 3 Rocket Richard trophies, 4 Conn Smythe trophies, 1 Calder trophy, 2 Norris trophies, and 4 Stanley Cup championships. No other team in the tournament carries a leadership core with comparable collective awards. Crosby brings Olympic history. He captained Canada to gold in 2014 and scored the overtime goal that decided the 2010 gold medal game in Vancouver. McDavid enters his first Olympic Games with NHL participation after missing the 2018 and 2022 tournaments due to league absence. Makar arrives as the reigning backbone of Canada's blue line and led all players in ice time at the Four Nations tournament. At the top of the roster, Canada separates itself immediately. Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Cale Makar represent a tier of talent unmatched in the field. During the Four Nations face-off, no Canadian forwards logged more ice time than McDavid and MacKinnon. No player in the entire tournament logged more ice time than Makar. These are not situational stars. They are deployed continuously. At any point in a game, one of them is on the ice. Canada integrated youth without altering its structure. Macklin Celebrini was named to the Olympic roster, becoming the youngest player in Canadian men's Olympic history. This season, he ranks behind only McDavid and MacKinnon among Canadian forwards in NHL scoring. Hockey Canada confirmed that Celebrini is expected to play in the top 6. Celebrini also arrives with established chemistry. He previously played alongside Sidney Crosby in international competition. His role does not require him to carry the team. It allows him to operate within an already defined system. Depth is where the Olympic problem becomes unavoidable. Every Canadian forward line contains players who would qualify as first-line options on many NHL teams. Canada's fourth line includes skaters who regularly play top 6 roles at the league level. There are no shifts designed to survive. Every shift is built to dictate play. Canada's center depth illustrates this imbalance. Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Sidney Crosby, and Bo Horvat anchor the middle of the lineup. In short tournaments, center depth determines puck possession, matchup control, and special teams efficiency. Few opponents carry answers at all 4 positions. On defense, Canada opted for continuity. All 8 defensemen from the Four Nations roster were retained. The group is large, experienced, and defensively reliable while still capable of generating offense. Hockey Canada prioritized chemistry and experience over introducing new breakout names. Selection debate exists, but it centers on omission rather than inclusion. Players left off the roster would largely fill bottom-line or depth roles. The controversy reflects the volume of available talent rather than roster weakness. Canada's top-end talent was set well before final selection. Special teams deployment reinforces the same pattern. Canada spreads elite players across both power play units. Penalty-killing responsibilities are distributed to maintain energy and limit exposure. No single unit carries disproportionate weight. This structure creates psychological pressure across the tournament. Canadian staff have acknowledged a gold or bust expectation internally. Media coverage treats Canada as the benchmark team. Other nations prepare their Olympic strategies specifically around Canada's roster, not the other way around. Pressure shifts outward. Canada is not adjusting to the tournament. The tournament adjusts to Canada. This dynamic extends to seeding implications. Group stage positioning influences quarterfinal matchups. Canada's ability to control early games affects how the rest of the bracket forms. Teams do not simply aim to advance. They aim to avoid Canada until elimination rounds. This is why the problem extends beyond individual matchups. Canada enters the Olympics with minimal unknowns. Coaching, leadership, deployment, and structure are already defined. Other teams continue to experiment. Canada executes. The Olympic format amplifies this advantage. The condensed schedule rewards experience and depth. There is no elimination during the group stage. Teams are allowed time to adjust. Canada has historically benefited from this structure. In 2010, Canada required a qualifying game to advance and still won gold. In multiple tournaments, Canada adjusted line combinations and goaltending mid-event without losing control of the tournament. Experience reduces risk. The one variable remains goaltending. Canada's 2026 group includes Logan Thompson, Jordan Binnington, and Darcy Kuemper. In 2014, Canada's goalies were Carey Price, Roberto Luongo, and Mike Smith. The current group is less decorated. Binnington started at the Four Nations tournament and played a strong final against the United States. His broader tournament performance and NHL season metrics have been weaker. Thompson and Kuemper have posted stronger recent numbers. The Olympic format allows evaluation. No team is eliminated during group play. Canada has previously won Olympic gold after switching goaltenders mid-tournament. The structure allows correction without collapse. Canada's group includes Czechia, Switzerland, and France. All three are competitive programs. None enter with Canada's depth or continuity. Early games provide opportunity to finalize combinations rather than test survival. As the tournament moves from preparation to execution, Canada enters already aligned. Leadership is defined. Roles are assigned. The roster reflects a recent championship model. Other teams continue to search for solutions. That is the problem facing this Winter Olympics.